Hey y'all, this is Deborah, Stitching Granny at 17. I hope y'all are doing wonderful on this Saturday, September the 11th, 2021. I want to thank all my subscribers, all the new subscribers. I have really increased in subscribers in this last week, and I thank you so much. I want y'all to make sure you stay tuned because next week, I'm sure we'll hit the 500 mark and we'll be doing a giveaway. I gave a sneak preview of the giveaway, not the actual item because I'm yet to make it. I will make it this week. We will be giving away a project bag, and I'm sorry to say that it's only available for the US subscribers only. I do have free tutorials in my Quilty Tube for all those that are overseas and those in the States. So I can offer you that. I will be coming up with more tutorials to share with you. With having 17 grandchildren, I can't promise that I can mail anything out of the US. It's going to be hard enough within the US. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but I wanted to let you know that in order to win, once we have 500 subscribers, so you have plenty of time to check everything out, is the stipulation is you have to watch my videos, and then I want you to comment, not this video, but when we do the actual giveaway, I want you to comment which video you like the best and why. And that's to get you to watch my other videos. I have under 10 videos, so it's not going to take that much time. I only have 2 videos that are just under an hour. The rest of them are approximately 30 minutes. So please go check out my other videos. Please share it on social media. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell if you want to be notified when I post my next video, because I don't have a certain time that I post, just whenever it's convenient. I know my son is home today. That's why I'm in my sewing studio, and you may hear the lawnmower going because he's home cutting grass and he's trying to help out mom and dad by doing some of the chores, all part of being a family. Celeste Creates had mentioned something yesterday in her floss tube, and she wanted to know, how do we feel content? How do we reach the point to where we feel content? Because I know I too fall in the trap of I want. And it's difficult. But I'm going to share a little bit about me, which I haven't really done so far. I'm not one to share a lot of personal life experiences, but I want you all to be able to understand where I come from and how I find my joy each and every day. So I'll share a little bit about me and answer Celeste's question here because it'd be too long to answer it in her comments. So today I want to share a previous finish, and it is Vintage Christmas Sampler, and this is by Lori Holt. I want to apologize for the glare, and I know it's on my glasses, but I can't see without them. I am so sorry. But I will insert a picture right here so you can see what that looks like without the glare. And here is the finish. I've got to fully finish this very soon because Christmas is coming quicker than I'd like it to, but I love Christmas. I love feeling like a child again and enjoying the excitement. Because most of the time it's the excitement of something that brings us joy. It's not the actual act of a gift. It's the excitement, the unexpected of not knowing exactly what it is, or even if we do know what it is, it's the excitement of getting. And then I know at times when I was a child, I was so excited for Christmas. then the moment would come and we'd get all the gifts, and it was kind of a letdown. The excitement wasn't there. Yes, I got to play with the things that I had, but somehow it was just a letdown. So now I like to enjoy the excitement of the unexpected or the expected. And sometimes I may receive a package in the mail that I've ordered, and I will wait a day, hopefully sometimes even longer, but not yet, but at least a day before I open it, because I want to savor the moments. And then, all right, I'm going to show you some of my whips before I get into my finishes. And remember, I started the 12 Days of Christmas by Stony Creek. I'll insert a picture right here. And I'm doing this on 14 count Yorkshire Gray by Swigart. And I'm working now on day 3. And I'll show you what day 3 looks like. It's supposed to be, let's see, what is day 3, y'all? 3 French hens. But they only have 1 on the picture, and they have a 3 next to it. So, and then there was day 1 and 2 if you didn't catch my previous videos. But I'm using all the called for flosses, the DMC flosses. And then we started, of course, this is September sampler. Everybody's supposed to be doing some form of a sampler. And Lori Holt is joining with Happy Little Stitch Shop and stitching the brick house. And I'll insert a picture here so you can see what it looks like. And it's by Brenda Gervais. And I'm doing this, my first ever, y'all, 28 count. And it's Quaker cloth. I hope you can see this. It's Quaker cloth by Swigart. I'm using 2 strands over 2 threads, the DMC conversion. And I started this on September the 5th, late in the evening, because weekends are normally my Kringle stitch, but I couldn't wait until Monday. I went ahead and started it Sunday night. And then a friend of mine, and her name is Brenda, we have started, she sent me a pattern, and it's called Homestead Harvest, and I'll insert a picture here. And I'm doing this on 22 count Ada white Swigart, and I'm using 1 strand over, just 1 strand of floss, and I'm using the DMC called for. I started this on September the 1st, and I've done half of the border all the way up, and I decided I wanted to get some pictures going in here, and then I'll probably carry on, but I want to do some of these quilt blocks right here and carry them through. So this is going to be a fall type finish. I don't know if it'll be finished this fall, but I'm enjoying it. This is the first time on 22 count this month. I'm at a lot of firsts because I'm not stitching on 14 count at this moment, other than the 12 Days of Christmas. That's my take along stitch. I don't stitch that here at the house. And then, of course, I told you that Kringles is my weekend stitch, and I'll insert a picture here. And it's by Little House Needleworks. I'm doing this on 16 count Ada by Swigart of ivory, and I coffee dyed it. And I started this on September the 23rd, and I only work on it on the weekends, and I haven't worked on it. The only weekend I didn't work on it was August the 28th, because I was behind in my monthly stitches that I have frames for, that I switch out each month. Why I'm doing 3, I don't know. But last month, I'll insert a picture here where I was last month, but I had come down to this part and I added the brick all down here, and then I started around where Kringles is supposed to go. So I made a pretty good progress on this. I'm pleased with it. And I'm using 2 strands, like I said, on 16 count, Ada by Swigart, ivory, and I coffee dyed it. And then now to my finishes. I've got Farm Girl Fall. Remember, I was working on this. It was my take along stitch. And I'm doing, this is by Lori Holt. And I did this on 11 count white Swigart Ada that I tea dyed. And I'm going to turn this into a pillow. I usually have trouble trying to figure out how to finish things, but if I could do it with sewing, it's so much easier for me than to try to figure out frames. I'm not a frame person. I rather have soft things up on my wall like quilts. So this one I'm going to make into a pillow, and it's on 11 count and all the called for DMC flosses, and I used 3 strands on that. Okay, here's my other finish. Remember, I was working on pumpkins for sale, and this one was done on 14 count vintage taupe by Swigart, and I've used the DMC flosses. I'll enter a picture here of what pumpkins for sale front of the pattern looks like. And I started this August the 1st, and then I completed it on September the 5th. Yeah, I know that was a Sunday, and that's my Kringles weekend, but I didn't work that much on Kringles. I wanted to complete this because I knew I wanted to start the Harvest House, Homestead Harvest. So I felt like I needed to get that done. I'm not quite sure on the finishing with this. I do have a plank that I can hang on the wall. I'm thinking about doing that. I'm also thinking about a pillow. And my son would probably go crazy. Mom, what are you going to do with another pillow? Well, it seems like my pillows seem to float from here because I give them freely. People come over, and if I feel like, you know, they really enjoy it, I'll say, here, take this with you. So I bought a big box of pillows the other day. I got 12 that came in. Yeah, they're 20-inch pillows. So I've got a big box of pillows. So I guess people are going to be getting gifts a lot lately until I get rid of all those pillows. And then I know I've been looking at some of my old magazines. I have maybe 5 left. I got rid of these magazines when my son moved in about 6 years ago, and now I'm regretting every moment. I wish I still had them. I keep looking for them whenever we go to antique stores, Goodwills, that type of thing. I'm considering stitching this one that's on the cover right now as a fall piece. This is a fall cross stitch, a harvest of cross stitch. And it was a September 13th issue, 2005. Like I said, I only have maybe 5 issues, but I'm going to thoroughly enjoy stitching some of those. And my haul that I got, which I don't get a whole lot of haul. I don't show a lot. I don't really get too much. I may get a fat quarter pack here or there. And yeah, it sits there and lets me look at it for a while until I can finally find it within me to cut it open. I rather use all my scraps that I have over here before I cut into those. So I try to utilize what I have. And last week I had mentioned that I had won this pattern from Annie, the Proper Stitcher. And I went looking and found the joy sign. So I'm so excited. I'm gonna have to start that little stitch really soon. This is the piece that it's called for to finish it on. So I'm excited about finishing it. And here it is. Here's what it looks like on the pattern to show how it's finished. So I'm excited about doing that. My son's girlfriend has the same sign, so we're going to stitch the same piece. And then I saw on Stitching with the Housewives some of these little pieces that they use to finish. And I thought they were so adorable. I had to get them. I don't know when I'm going to use them, but I will use them in my kitchen and do a cross stitch and do a finish. And then here's a little wooden spoon. And it's, you can tell about what size it is. It's maybe 6 inches. And then here's a little teeny rolling pin. So I love rolling pins too. And I wanted to show you how I store my stitch cards and how I store my information on each item. Now, I store my stitch cards in here. This is one of those magnetic boxes. I got it at Hobby Lobby. I got this box because the other boxes were a little steep. Yes, I like them, but we can't always get everything that we want. We have to pick and choose what nicer items that we want to get. And Michelle McGraw had mentioned that she puts her information on little cards. So I got some 4x6 cards. And when I was looking for something to keep my Lori Holt stitch cards in, we kept looking for things and I couldn't find one that was large enough other than something cardboard. And I really didn't want something cardboard and pay $20 or more for it. So I found this one 4x6, or it's a little bit bigger than 4x6, but it was going to push it. I even considered cutting my cards down to fit it in here, and no, I don't want to do that. So I put that in the back, and that's all my information for my cross stitch and my quilting. When I start something, when I finish it, and what I used, and I keep that inside. So this little box I got at Hobby Lobby, and it was 50% off, so it was just a few dollars. Again, it's just one of these that some people use for finishing. It was $7.99. It was 50% off, so I paid $4. So that works for me. And then I wanted to talk to you about what Celeste had said about about being content. And a long time ago, about 21 years ago, I went in for a colonoscopy, and when I came out, I had chronic pain. And I even ended up in a wheelchair. And that led into a ton of medications I had to take, but I can remember being in my wheelchair and being so medicated. I would be wheeling around the hospital because I had therapies I had to go to and stuff, and they had a walk path where people could walk a mile or two and get their exercise, the workers, during their break. So I went ahead and took my wheelchair, and I'd be wheeling, and people say, "How are you today?" I said, "I'm blessed and highly favored no matter how I look, how I sound, or how I feel." I've always been one to try to find the good in the midst of the bad. We all have been through trials and tribulations, but how do we overcome all that? How do we get beyond that? What do we do? In 1 Timothy 6:6-12 says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some covet after, they have erred from their faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But thou, O man of God, flee these things and follow after righteousness, godliness, faith, love, patience, and meekness. Fight the good fight of faith, and lay hold of eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. That's kind of what I was talking about. I didn't really go into great detail. I kind of got flustered because when I did the video on the applique and I went back to edit it, everything was flying by real fast. I hit something wrong on my phone, so I had to come back and redo that, and I kind of flubbed a little bit of what I meant by it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. And I don't dwell on riches. I've never been one that was richly blessed with finances. So I find contentment in God and allow Him to bless me in the way that He feels free to bless me. And back in my husband's and I, when we were first married, and we had our first child, right after she was born, he had lost his job. And he was being blackballed, so he couldn't find a good job for a little better than 2 years. And so he finally did find a mechanic's job, and it was only making a few dollars an hour. And here I was, home with a baby. We didn't have a car, so when he went to work as a mechanic, he did buy a car, but then he was taking that to work. So we really couldn't afford childcare. So I was home. And during that time that I was pregnant with my daughter, I did have a sewing machine. My dad had bought me a sewing machine a few years before. I didn't really have any fabric. But then people started coming to my door and asked me if I knew how to sew. There was a seamstress right down the road. We lived on a dead end. Her name was Lucille Dye, a precious lady. And she was an awesome seamstress. They'd come to my door and say, "Do you make clothes?" I said, I can, but I think you're looking for the lady that lives at the end of the road. No, I'm not looking for her. So I started making, there was a man that went to our church, and he was a small stature, and he was tired of buying sport coats in the boys department. He wanted something that looked more like a man would wear. So he asked me if I could make them, and he asked me that at church. So I started making those. And then right before my daughter was born, somebody brought me a bag of fabric, and I made a quilt. I wanted to make my very first quilt. And the only kind of bindings I knew about was like blanket bindings. So yeah, I'm going to insert a picture right here. And the binding that's around the quilt was corduroy. And I know this is a cross stitch, but this is a little bit about where I come from. And so I made that quilt for my daughter, and we had gotten the crib from across the street at a yard sale. And it was a struggle to come up with $40 to get the crib, a used crib for my daughter, and we didn't have a dresser for her. So what you see is a trunk like you would carry on a train with the blanket or the quilt draped behind it and stuffed animals in front of it. My grandmother made stuffed animals just like that for my oldest daughter, and so I decided I was going to make them for her. So I did. And her clothes were kept up underneath it. So about another year and a half went by. And now we were in 1983, beginnings of 84. I became pregnant with my son. And now I was never supposed to have any children. But the Lord blessed me. And so I became pregnant with my son. My husband was still working at this mechanic's job. He was seeking other work, but he knew he was being blackballed. And about the time that the list came out of the people being blackballed, he got a job. I was still pregnant with my son. I was about 3-4 months pregnant, and he got a call. So he went to work, and he was making more money than he ever made before. And not only that, they paid the insurance for me to have our son. And then when I had my son, I was in labor for a couple of weeks, but they wouldn't do anything because he was breech. And I was getting in such a bad way. We came home from church and I made lunch. I was trying to get things cleaned up, and I told my husband, because of complications that were occurring at the time, I said, I need to go to the hospital. So he took me to the hospital, and they left me in labor all night until they called the doctor the next morning at 8 o'clock. Well, my son was born at 8:20 on the dot by C-section. And it did damage. And so on my birthday, my 28th birthday, I ended up having to have an emergency hysterectomy. So they almost lost me. They closed me up, left one ovary in. Needless to say, I had to go back and have that other ovary taken out. But like I said, I tried to find the good within the bad. God has blessed me so much. Even in the time that my husband was without a good, substantial job, God provided for the house payments. He provided for electricity and for groceries. I remember one Sunday we went to church and we didn't have any groceries. We had enough gas in the car to get us to church. And we had a little teeny Ford something or other. It's kind of like a Chevette, but it's small like a Chevette, but it's not a Chevette. A Fiesta, Ford Fiesta, that's it. And we only had enough gas to get to church. We knew we didn't have enough gas to get home. But we said, we're going to church anyway because we're going to go praise God. So we got to church, and this young man, he walked up to my husband and gave him a $50 check. And of course, we cried. And back in that day, you could take a check to the grocery store and buy groceries with it. They would cash it. They didn't charge you any extra for it. So we got some groceries, and we got enough to get gas, which we were on fumes. But the grocery store was like a half a mile from the church, so it wasn't that far that we had to go. So needless to say, God brought us through there. And every time in my life I can recall, God has always came through. He's always touched me, and he's always blessed me. And even when I came out of surgery with chronic pain for many years, another incident or something else occurred because of all the medication that I was on, caused some other health issues. And which I'm going to leave at that, because God gets all the glory. He has brought me so far, and I am so thankful because he's richly blessed me with our children. The oldest is my stepdaughter, which I dearly love. Her name is Dawn. And then I have my oldest daughter, which has a bakery, and then the next daughter, and then my son, which God has truly blessed them. But out of those 3 children that I gave birth to, I am blessed to say I have 17 grandchildren. and each and every one of them are a blessing. I praise God for them because they're my legacy. They're going to carry on after I'm gone. And I'm debating on whether or not to keep my floss tube. I've got some crazy people that want to post links to sex, whatever. It's not good. So far, I've been able to manage and keep it or catch it right when it happens or within 20 minutes. But if you happen to be looking on this video and you look through the comments and you see somebody leaving a link to the sex scam stuff, there is 3 dots above their name on their right-hand side. And you can click on those dots. It might be underneath on the right-hand side, but I know it's on the right-hand side. You click on those dots and you can report it. So if you catch it before I do, please report it, because this does not make me happy. I want to glorify God. Social media can be very misleading, that people have the most perfect life. Well, do I have the perfect life? Maybe not. But I try to live the perfect life. I try not to put on a front, no. I try to look for the good and the bad. I try to allow God to talk to me each and every day. I read His Word. I listen to His music, to godly music. So when I'm feeling down or I feel not very content, and I get in His Word and then I worship with His music, I get away from social media and I find myself feeling content. When I see other floss tubers and they're showing their haul, which is good for them, I enjoy seeing their haul. But then I find myself, oh, I'd like to have that. Oh, I like to have that. But then I have to remind myself, you can't do that. You can't just keep getting and getting and getting. We have to give. And I want to stay at the place to where I can freely give. I want to be able to freely give what I have when it helps someone else. I want to glorify God by showing His love. And there's something that I wanted else to share with you. Is like the state of being content. That's contentment, satisfied. And I want you to just take a moment, forget about all your troubles, and count your blessings. Then I want you to ask yourself, did I do all I could do with the time that God has given me? Did I do enough? That's a good question. Did I show enough compassion? Did I help those around me in times of despair? Have I shared the love of Christ? And that's what I want to do. I want you to feel the love of Christ in each and every video that I do. I'm not trying to put on any kind of front by showing you things that I make. I'm honored because God chose me to bless me with the talents that He's given me. I praise Him every day for the talents He's given me and for everything that He has supplied for me to enjoy the talents that He's given me. And you can say I live in a little bubble because I try to stay away from the news. I try to stay away from things that are going to pull me down. I try to stay positive. I want the love of God to dwell in me and thrive in me so much that I don't see the bad. I want to see as He sees. I want to feel like He feels. So if y'all can, just every day, take a moment, forget about your troubles, and count your blessings. I'm going to end on that note. Thank you all so much for subscribing, for watching, for hitting the thumbs up. And don't forget, we're going to have a giveaway. The next floss tube that I reach 500, as soon as I reach 500, we'll go ahead and I'll record so we can go ahead and get that giveaway on a roll. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. God bless. I wanted to pop back in here to let y'all know that Stitchin' Scotty, her name is Dottie. She has a floss tube, and I made a bag for her to give away once she reaches 500 subscribers. So you need to check her out because she does do a floss tube sometime this weekend. And if she has 500 subscribers, she's going to give away that project bag. So be sure and go check her out. And don't forget, come back here next week because I think I will be hitting 500 subscribers. I have 444, and hopefully I'll have 500 before next week, and we'll do another video and I'll show you the project bag and we'll give it away.